Hey folks, so I wanted to record an episode about my recent drama production because it's something that, I'm really proud of. And this is like anyway, I just felt called to share it because as a sensitive soul, right? I know and I hear it so many times and I've experienced it a lot myself of like this idea of being seen and heard is really challenging. So I'm just gonna like share my whole experience of like what I journeyed through in the hope that that will, inspire you to keep stepping out and leaning into the discomfort of being seen and heard through you sharing your work, through you doing a drama performance, whatever it is that gets your creative juices flowing. That's the most important thing. So I don't know where to start, but basically in I've been doing this since February. So it's been a long journey and we had our show at the weekend, a mix of oh my gosh, so many emotions. Like there were nerves. I was excited. My brain was going, what if you mess up? What if you look a fool on stage? All of that stuff going on. And guys, I haven't done drama since I was 16. It's like 19 years ago. So it wasn't, it's like one of those experiences that life brought to me. An opportunity comes, and it wasn't this year that I was like, I'm going to do drama. That wasn't my thought. But when I went to my beautiful creative coffee club in the New Forest, and I sat down and I was talking to the women about guiding a 6-week journey inspired by Persephone of leading women into the unconscious to really see and like face their shadows because the real spiritual work starts where you really can be with all aspects of yourself. You're not trying to just be in the love or light, like love and light. It's not about that. The real work starts when you can actually embrace almost these parts of you that you are like triggered by, that you are like, oh, that feels edgy, that feels uncomfortable. So I was sitting in this coffee club and I was just saying how I was going to start this 6-week journey, archetypal journey with astrology. And this woman, Christina, sat down, put her flyer on the table, and they were like, how's it going? And she's like, well, I'm so excited because I'm going to be doing taking people on a 12-week journey with then ending with a production of Persephone, Queen of the Underworld. Honestly, I had goosebumps. I can't explain to you. And everyone was chuckling away. And she was like, because she'd arrived after, she's like, what's going on? And so I explained and said, like, it's such a powerful myth for me. And archetypally, I probably shared this before some point on my YouTube channel of like, I had a really deep experience with Pluto. And Pluto is all about death and rebirth. And that myth really helped me on like a psychological level. So she was like, you've got to join, you must join. And like me, I'm quite impulsive. I don't really always think about these things. And I was like, yeah, for sure. It was a bit of a trek to Wimborne. It's about 40 miles every Sunday. So I committed to this journey that then got extended. We were meant to do the production in April, and we've done it in mid-June. So a little bit longer than planned. And I really don't know where to start, but I felt it was really important to share my journey of this, because as I've said on here before, I'm not loud, I'm not extroverted. Like, yes, I can be bubbly and I'm not trying to put myself into a box, but I naturally am not the loudest person in the room. I'm probably normally sometimes the quietest person in the room. And so it was really interesting watching myself through this drama journey because it's actually transformative theatre. And so there was like improvisation, there was breath work, there was like some really cool guided meditations that really helped us connect more deeply with our emotions so we could express them. And it was an edge, many edges. It was not an easy journey for me. Like improvisation, my brain is like freaking out on the inside to be seen by other people. And by the way, a lot of these people in this doing this journey, a lot of them have done a lot of acting. Like one has like 40 years acting experience. And so a lot of them are in that world. And I was like, God, like I'm gonna be shit. Like I'm not up to standard. I'm not good enough. I haven't touched drama for 19 years. But then when I realized that actually this wasn't about me being a professional actor, this I know that's not my path. It's more like this is an outlet for self-expression. And if I can have something for fun where I just show up and I can just be me and like connect with these different parts of me, then then that is what I'm here for. And it took the pressure off because I could just have fun. And there was some really uncomfortable moments where I didn't want to go. I felt so resistant to some Sundays because also it was felt like it was putting a strain on my relationship, like working Saturdays and not seeing Paul on Sundays. Like it was a lot. And what you're processing, the emotions you're processing, are really intense. And a few weeks back, we did a an improv and we got into two groups. And she's like, I want you to first express grief, and you've got to stay connected to the others in your group. So that was like free flow, and you're moving, expressing grief, which is full on. I feel like I could tap into that emotion because there was a really powerful scene in our production, which is called The Lament, where if you know part of the story of Persephone, where basically it's it's about the light and dark. So she's initiated. She is abducted into the underworld by Hades, and he makes her queen of the underworld. And it's almost like she's a really innocent, naive, you know, figure. And she gets initiated and she steps into her power. And I feel this is the journey we're always on as we get older, you know, and as children, we're so innocent. But when we start to see and embrace the shadows within us, that's where we find our authority. And so for me, this whole journey was very much about like I wasn't a starring role. I played small roles. Um, but it was very much about connecting in with my authority and kind of finding deeper layers of confidence and conviction in being seen and heard because I was still on a stage, I still have movements, and I was these different characters. And it taught me a lot about being adaptable because I was a nymph, I was this forest creature, like mischievous, kind of like, goading Persephone to go wandering out of the meadow. And in the next, I'm like this in a scene of grief where we're like dying farmers, where Demeter has set the world to winter, where everything is dying. And anyway, I've lost my train of thought. It's going back to the improv. So then she said, okay, now I want you to, in your groups, express passion and anger. And I think at that point, because I was feeling a lot of anger towards like, why was I even involved in this journey? Like my ego is going, it's a waste of time. It's too frivolous. Like, what are you doing? You don't want to be a professional actor. You know in your heart of hearts that's not your path. Like, what are you doing wasting all this time? And of course, the soul knows that that is what I had to journey through. And doing things for self-expression is never a waste of time, in my opinion. Like, it's not, but the brain thinks we have to be serious and everything has to have, like, you have to monetize everything. So there was a lot of anger moving for me. And so the four of us, actually the nymphs, we're like forest creatures, we were all together for this improv. And we just really tapped into anger. And the others watched it. We showed the others what we'd done, which was very impromptu. It wasn't planned. And it just came through in the moment. And they were like, wow, that was powerful. And I've realized the thing is with acting or any of that, it's like any creative expression, the best kind is the most vulnerable. When it's not polished, when it's not planned, it's like it's raw emotion. And that's what it was. They were like, you've got to bring this into the performance, which we did. And it really has been a journey of like, okay, here's I might not be a main character. I feel I still have some lines as a nymph. And but I'm still on stage. People still looking at you, which was like really terrifying to me. Like, oh my God, I did drama GCSE when I was 16. So we ended up doing like Be My Baby. It was a 60s, like inspired by the 60s, where women would have to give up their babies, go away and give birth to them, and then they would go home. That's really sad. But that was at school. That was a school production. This wasn't a proper theatre or people paying to see it. Like this was way out my comfort zone. I can't tell you. Um, and you're probably thinking, well, how did you do that? Like if you're really sensitive and you're more quiet and more reserved, how did you get up on a stage? Well, I embraced it. And do you know what? The fear of me, like, what if I muck up? What if I like forget my lines or something goes wrong? I actually leaned into that and I sat with the fear and I was like, okay, if something goes wrong, that's okay. If it doesn't go to plan, that's okay because we're all human and actually that shows our humanness. And of course, I was literally terrified. And the guy that's been taking amazing photos, it's like, how are you feeling? I was like, terrified before the matinee. And he's like, just remember, you're gonna die one day. And I was like, yeah, so true. Because we're so often we don't do things or we delay putting our hearts out there, creating the things that feel so alive because we're terrified of like embarrassing ourselves or feeling shame of like mucking up. But we're not perfect. We're not polished. And actually, I think people appreciate when things aren't so polished. So we went ahead, we did this matinee. And after I've been on the stage, the first scene, I just relaxed. I was like, I'm just going to enjoy this because at the end of the day, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. And half the time, the audience don't know what was meant to happen anyway. And so there was this Greek dance that we learn only a few weeks before the show, which was like, we're not really natural dancers either. So we were trying to get that right with the music, but it's a party scene, so it kind of didn't matter if it wasn't exactly in sync. And I just thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna enjoy it, which I did. Um, I'm enjoying this beautiful garden I'm now dog sitting in. Um, and yeah, so that was that. And do you know what it's taught me? It's taught me to adapt in the moment because the matinee was great. Then we did the evening show that like felt like we really smashed some scenes and brought in more emotion. But but the truth is, one of the scenes we did this moon ritual. Bless her, somebody fell ill, so they had to stand out, and she was meant to be in the scene. And so we're like, right, we'll get this other lady in to just be the crone and stand there, and the narrator Hermes can just read in that part. And so somebody forgot their line. I know this scene quite well. And then I'm like, okay. Then Hermes, the narrator's reading out my line of the full moon. I'm the full moon, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I can't step out now and repeat that. So I just stood where I was. And there's just like a pause. And in my head, I'm going, shit, shit, do something, do something. So I just stepped out, which was like our normal move. We'd missed quite a bit out of this. We were like, as the different parts of the moon, we had the new moon, the full moon, the crone, and then Persephone's meant to repeat after us like a ritual. She repeated a couple of things. Wasn't going to plan, so I just thought, right, let's just like close off this ritual because we're all standing here blankly, and I think it's not going to plan. So I literally had to adapt in the, impromptu in the middle of in front of an audience. Just stepped out, went to Persephone. She stood up, and then I said somebody else's line to close down the space. And it was an uncomfortable moment of like, shit, all these faces are on us. Like, what do I do? A moment of panic. But actually, when I just surrendered to, okay, they don't know what's going on. Think quickly, just act. And I said this line that was meant to be Hecate's, like closing down the space. And then it all flowed from there. And we walked off the stage. And yeah, I was a bit annoyed. Like, it didn't go to plan. I didn't get to say my line, but it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And it really taught me that's like, I can either stand here and feel, oh my God, like we're embarrassing ourselves. This is really cringy, and allow ourselves to be cringe. We can actually step in and do something or which felt most alive in the moment. And that's what I did. And it was fine. But it's really a lesson in like, even if you have a plan or a performance, it's not going to go to plan. It's not going to go the way you think it is. The pillar kept falling over, like fell over 3 times in the last performance. I knocked over once. People laughed. They made a joke out of it. So don't be afraid to mess up or to be cringe about something not going to plan. Because at the end of the day, we're human. And if you just be in your heart, that is all that you need to do. And so I want to go back to this like being seen and heard piece because there's so many, like, I know I've had so many wounds around this. And I've said this many times before, like going beetroot red. Like, if a teacher asked me, oh, do you know the answer, Hannah? I'd just freeze. I'd absolutely feel shame. Like, I almost wasn't allowed to have that attention on me. So I know a lot of people have that fear of public speaking. And to me, standing up on a stage, acting is very similar. But I know that this is actually helping me in so many ways. It's helped me in projecting my voice to the back of the hall, which was like, honestly, such an edge for me. We had a tech rehearsal 2 days before, and the director, she's like, you're quiet as a mouse. I can't hear anything you're saying. So I took that feedback on board, and with the right breathing, I was able to do it. But, you know, the medicine that we're here to learn comes from the challenge. So the amount of times that this journey was so uncomfortable that I didn't want to go to a Sunday rehearsal. I'd rather have stayed in and chilled in my garden than to be with that discomfort of the anger, the frustration, all of that was surfacing. And it taught me grace because a part of me didn't feel like I had the power to drop out or say, this isn't for me. And so it's been a lesson in discerning my energy, like where I put my energy. And actually, at the beginning of something like that is like taking a step back and not saying yes straight away because that me and the impulse. And to be honest, the universe was slapping in me in the face with like, you should be involved in this. So I'm so grateful for this experience because it's brought me to another level of like conviction and authority in myself. And actually being allowed to, it's almost like being vulnerable and allowing myself to be seen in like deep grief. There was a scene with like, we're like dying and it's really intense. And to pull that part out of you and express that, it felt really cathartic. And then to express the anger, grief, all the different emotions I played through these different characters were like, yeah, it's like integration. And, you know, I just want to share that with you because if it's something like you're thinking, oh my gosh, like I could never get up on a stage, or I can never speak in front of anyone. You can. You just have to take the next step. And that next step might be doing a drama evening class. It might be doing a small talk to a networking group, you know. It's just the next step. Because if somebody told me, oh my God, you'll be up on stage, you know, with lights and people paying to see this in January, I would have freaked out. I'm telling you, I would have freaked out. It's through repetition that you build that confidence and authority that you can do that. And it is safe to be seen and heard. And I think it's so important that the people around you, you know, the community around you that support you in that makes the world of difference. Like I said, a lot of them, the main characters, they have some performing arts backgrounds, or they've been acting regularly in the last few years. I have nothing. I've always been creative and I'm quite adaptable, but nothing like that. And not once did I feel like I was beneath them or that they were like, you know, you're an amateur or anything like that. Everyone was really kind and supportive of each other. And so that's what it's reminded me of, that if you have a community, you know, that supports you, that is so healing, like really healing. And I'm so grateful for it. And I'm also now feeling all the mixed emotions, like all the I felt so much like elation, excitement, and like expansion, particularly after that second performance, because it was like I felt like we were on fire. And the narrator was like watching the audience in Act One, like everyone was absolutely, utterly gripped. Um, so yeah, I'm so happy I was a part of that journey. And also, like any journey, it's going to come to an end, and that feels sad, and that feels like I'm in a transition phase of like, oh, you know, maybe what next? Or like I have more space for something else. And yeah, I really think that being, you know, we're all creative beings and we've just got to find that way of expressing ourselves, however it is. And it can be fun, it can be frivolous, but it's also going to test you. You know, it's also going to bring up uncomfortable emotions. But that's an opportunity for you to look at them and for you to process that stuff that you otherwise would stay buried, right? And it was called Transformative Theatre. So, yeah, I'm so grateful. The universe always brings what we need. Not what we want, but what we need. And yeah, I am feeling a sadness. I am feeling a loss of like, oh, what am I going to do with my Sundays now while I'll see Paul? Um, and grateful for that journey. So I just wanted to share that with you because I think it illustrates how you don't have to be the most confident, loudest person in the room to be on stage or to do anything else that's creative that is alive in your heart. You just have to follow that aliveness. And the journey will unfold from there, you know, like it will. And you just have to trust the next step, and then the next step will follow. And I feel that's all I really want to say is like allow yourself to be through the journey of like the range of emotions of like anything creative is it asks you to open your heart to be truly seen in like raw emotion. And that can feel really scary because sometimes it feels like we're exposed or we're like powerless. Because if we're in those like in a vulnerable state, then people can like have power over us. But actually, it's the opposite. We're most powerful when we are in that vulnerability, when we have a meltdown or we freak out, we're scared, whatever. we can have those feelings and we can lead with an open heart and go, yes, I feel the fear, but what is true for my soul right now? What does my heart really truly want to create right now? And the fear can be there too. Trust me, it was with me. Like that was not a walk in the park for me to have all the lights as a sensitive soul on me. That was so intense. Like, and the heat, it was like 30 degrees. Um, and I just had to keep coming back to remember why you're here. You're doing this for you, actually. It's a healing journey for you, not anyone else. And obviously, it's going to ripple into the work I do. But it was for my, that deeper self-awareness of those emotions and stepping into my power. And God knows what's next. Maybe I'll do drama again as like a fun tool for self-expression. Who knows? But I'm following the aliveness, keep following that aliveness. And I'd love to hear from you guys if what resonated with what I've shared. Like, I always love hearing your thoughts. Like, please share them below the video, or if you want to reach out privately, then do pop me an email. I would love to hear from you. All right, my loves. Bye for now. I'll see you next time.